So then one question I have is so when I'm older and I pass away, pass on, do I just wake up
Yes.
in my
It
stasis
would be no
body?
more different than how you would waken from a dream. Basically, the aspect of the soul would come right back into the body again, and you basically feel yourself awakening from stasis, and it's like waking up from a dream. Therefore, your stasis body is your oversoul.
Wow. So is there a limit of how many like stasis you can do in your lifetime, or
It all
you start?
depends upon the soul in question, because many of you, in that sense, may actually splinter yourself off into a multitude of different lifetimes. This is done technologically.
I see. Okay.
like
So
a
is it?
crystal like a crystal prism that is in that sense having a light shine upon it and seeing rainbow light dispersed. That would be an appropriate analogy in regards to this process.
Oh wow. Interesting. So is it common for people in the Pleiades system to do what we are doing in like stasis and come down? Is that
No,
something?
not really. The whole idea in that sense is that there are, shall we say, in regards to the many populations that are existing within the Pleiades, it is a
Uh-huh.
very select few that do this.
Uh-huh.
Basically, you would understand that you are part of a federation, and that a
I see.
federation in that sense actually contains fleets of what you would know as system busters, or what you would know as family light personnel, family of light personnel, that basically come to these planets and work to change the idea of the systems collectively. So again, you have what you would know as group aspects. You have Pleiadian, Sirian, Andromedan, Arcturian, Lyran alliances. So again, some of them work together in independence to their own respective star system. Some will work together within super federation clusters. But these are all part of specialists that are around the planet. So basically, you could say that the great majority of the star seeds that are around your planet right now are trained specialists to transform the landscape of planets,
Oh,
ecologically, sociologically, politically, etc.
I see. Okay. So they're all planned on what they're going to do.
You're
Somewhat
all, in
on
that sense, conjunct,
the.
yes, to the idea of what you would know as the big picture.
So in my body up in stasis. So how long do you think is the lifetimes? Are they like 100 years, and then your
Well, basically,
normal?
when you are in stasis, you are in what is known as suspended animation. Basically, you are not functioning within a time expanse. You are basically, in that sense, what you would know as frozen in time. So the whole idea is that the body is fully preserved. It is not interactable in that way. Basically, the whole idea is that anybody from the outside past the capsules would not be able to connect with you because your body is comatose. So because it is in a coma, it is not responsive in the idea to that. It's not to say that it cannot pick it up somewhere, somehow, in regards to minor functions. But basically, again, going into a comatose state and actually splintering off the fragments of your soul and basically occurring in different lifetimes periodically is the common nature for these specialists.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So the lifetime, once I wake up from stasis, how long do normal Palladians live? Do you think?
That all depends, because many of you use technological acceleration to increase your lifespan.
Okay, so it's like 500 years for some
No,
people
we would
normal.
say well within the thousand.
So during the lifetime that people all meet, obviously, when I pass away, when I pass away, I'll wake up in my stasis body, and some people will go to heaven or what at that dimension.
No,
So
the
what?
whole idea is that many of you are contracted to simply return back into your bodies. It would be no more different in this physical life that if you were to go into a meditation state and project yourself consciously to
Mhm.
another area of your planet and actually start living as that hologram, you would basically have that particular life for a certain amount of time. Therefore, the idea of that hologram being able to, shall we say, expire, if it were in that sense brought together in materialized body, that essence of yourself would then return to yourself and you would acquire all the memories of that experience as the host oversoul of that projection. This is
Mm,
basically the exact same reference about what's happening between yourself and your stasis body. So
I
you are
see.
not in that sense, quote unquote, dying to the point where you are becoming non-physical. Your essence immediately slams in that way back into the physical Pleiadian body, which again exists in fourth density, and you would basically receive all the memories that was tied into this lifetime. So it is basically what you would know as going into the Oversoul tunnel and being able to return in that way. And yes, have a life review, but then being able to move back into the physical body, as that is an acquirement of memories to also help you review what had been obtained in that way, as everybody in that sense that is going through a stasis effect is all doing so based upon love and light permission, and therefore the accordance of free will. So basically you could say that your missions are blessed, and therefore you are receiving much to what could be, in that sense, in a way of a lack of a better term, an afterlife experience that then brings you back into the stasis body.
Wow.
Interesting.
The reason
Okay.
being is because you have assigned identity to yourself in this life. Therefore, that must be played through in regards to the idea in that sense of any enactments that require healing, or in that sense adjustments prior to moving back into the vibration that represents your host body of a Pleiadian origin.
So how many Pleiadians do you think are on planet Earth that are in stasis back on the Ark ships? Or
How many Pleiadians are on Earth?
Yeah, is it a lot, or is...
If we were to give an estimation, we would say approximately 200 million.
Oh, wow, okay.
Wow. Okay, so all the others that I know, there's a lot of different alien types, but the ones that are not aliens, they're just human?
Well, understand that everybody comes from somewhere else. Now, we basically know what you mean. You could refer to them as non-starseeds.
Yes.
Now, many of them in that sense have come from all over. Some in that sense have migrated from Mars. Some have migrated from Maldek. Some have migrated from Venus. Some have been to other stars that are truly unnameable. Some, again, are truly what you would know as angelic consciousness and come here upon this planet. So there are, in that sense, a wide variety of different origins, but they all have some type of relationship as it pertains to the human experiment. That is why they are here, because in some shape, way, or form, they have volunteered themselves because they have decided to make the aspect of the human experiment much part of their lives, much more in the idea of their energy, or those in that sense who have had many different forms of previous dwellings in different perspectives that are in that sense attempting to tie up loose ends upon this planet.
Wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now you would understand that your Pleiadian populace is actually what you would know as the most popular aspect of extraterrestrials that are here on this planet than any other. The reason being is because Pleiadians have a very strong karmic connection to the Earth, more than any other race.
Okay.
And why is that?
Basically because the Pleiadians were primarily responsible for the Earth's caretaking in the earlier times, prior to the genesis of Atlantis.
Okay. Okay.
Because Atlantis fell, there was much that they were not able to perform, and therefore, in that sense, this led to a great deal of criticism throughout the galaxy, as they were meant to function as what you would know as extraterrestrial caretakers.
Okay, and what about our pets? I mean, my pets, I love them so very much.
Well, we really do not refer to them as pets, because really on other planets, there's no such thing. You're
Okay.
really the only planet that actually has pets.
Okay, so their
Which means
souls.
in that sense that the idea of animals is that they are not being domesticated or confined. They are basically in that sense working together in companionship to their own natural dwellings, working together with other sentient races. So you having the aspect of pets is quite alien.
Okay.
So,
In regards to what they represent, yes, they basically are able to return back into source consciousness because they have no aspect to what you would know as a sentient ego. They are very much in harmony with the Earth. So therefore, as they return back to source, there really is no resistance preventing that.
Okay.
wow. Another question is, so difference in age between my mom and me is about 30 years. So did my mom go into stasis for 30 years prior, and then I jumped
You all
in?
basically went in somewhat at the same time, but the whole idea in that sense of realizing the aspects of differentiations have to do with time lapse. So basically the idea is that you are in within what you would know as a observational queue in spirit. And basically in that observational queue, you will experience timings that therefore reference the delivery of that being to come in at a certain timeline. You must understand that your linear space-time progression is fabricated. And because it is fabricated, everything beyond the Earth is happening simultaneously.
Yes, okay.
So basically, in that sense, in your own video game analogy, you would understand that this is a waiting queue. And as a waiting queue, you would basically snap back, you would have your character propagate, and now you would be able to have the adventure in that way. The same thing happens here. You all go in stasis basically at the same time, roughly around that point, but you're all coming in at precise changes because you understand that space and time is malleable. So from your perspective, your mother coming 30 years earlier, again, plays out that progression through your space-time nexus on Earth. You, therefore, come in 30 years later, but from your perspective, it is instantaneous. That is basically what we are attempting to say. The idea of the space-time manifold is flexible as it pertains to experience beyond what you would consider to be the Earth life.
Wow. So civilizations in other planets, do they look like anything that we could wrap our heads around, in like cities, or are they more natural, sustainable with like the ecosystem?
Well, you would discover that, again, there are many different archetypes as it pertains to that. What you would also discover is that upon many different Earth-like planets, there really aren't cities the way that you have cities. More so in the idea there are twofold. One, beings existing within the interior of the planet. Two, beings existing within the orbits of your planet through the idea of cities or other particular forms of technological conveyances.
Wow.
So that can be quite common to what you would know as advanced races.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
There can be other particular forms of indigenous races that can exist upon the surface, but you would understand that much more in regards to what they have created are very much more of the earth that they come from. So basically much of their domiciles would often be created out of mud, clay, stone, wood, etc. There would not be anything in regards to what you would know as an industrialized design. So it is a complement, therefore, manifested out of the earth. But again, that can be, shall we say, somewhat of a different range. Again, many particular beings prefer actually to live in the interior of planets.
Okay, do Pleiadians like to do that, or no? They live...
Well, understand that their particular cities, in that sense, do exist, but they exist in different facets of dimensions, and you would understand them as what you would know as crystal-like cities. They actually exist within another domain of the planet itself, whereas you may, in that sense, discover a planet that may look very Earth-like in that way, similar to what you discover. You can actually flip your vibration over to another dimensional domain where crystalline cities exist, therefore occupying the same space but different dimensional veils in between the two. Just as if you were to turn on a light switch, all of a sudden you see a crystal city. Turn off the light switch, it goes back to nature.
I see. Interesting. Wow.
So
this is the idea of the change in vibrational frequency that one would need to make to alter their frequency to actually live in an extra-dimensional crystal city based upon intention.
So does our my body's in stasis? Does that body age?
No, as we stated, it is in suspended animation. So therefore, again, it is comatose. But the aspect of the stasis pod itself does not have a tangential touch as it pertains to space-time interference. So it is basically existing what you would know as void.
So when I go back into my stasis body, it
would be just as if a quarter of a moment passed.
Okay. So is there so the Federation, can anyone join the Federation?
Yes.
Or is it...
Yes. The whole idea in that sense, the super federations, because there are many different clusters of them, will basically in that sense work to, shall we say, collect themselves together and unify certain members. So basically in that sense, most of the aspects of federations are civilizations that want to join up with these federations. So it is no more different than the series that you know as Star Trek. The idea of those in that sense who want to become members of a federation are basically applying for that to happen. And basically in that sense that as they are ready as a culture, there's a maturity factor that is there, they will be welcomed into such super federations. So it is really very similar to the aspect of your Star Trek program.
Okay.
Works almost identically in that way, just more so on a spiritual vibratory level.